You're going to hear from everybody. Changing the business tax in Michigan is obviously one of the first things that we need to do. Constantly in Port Huron, we're giving tax breaks to companies for equipment that they want to bring into their factories in Port Huron. It's only a 12-year break, and after 12 years, they go out of the city to somewhere else and go on to the next tax break. So we need, and I think it discourages growth when you say, if you want to bring a new office furniture, a new piece of equipment to your business, and I'm going to tax you on it, it's going to discourage people from wanting to do business in Michigan. Another way I think we can bring jobs in Michigan is by Hire Michigan First. In Port Huron, we have an ethanol plant, which is a good thing. It created a lot of jobs in the long run, but in the short run, what they did is when they built it, they brought a lot of people from out of state and a lot of people from out of country to come build this ethanol plant. When we had everybody in Port Huron area and Sanilac County that could have did that work, and we're facing 24% unemployment in Port Huron, and I think it's about 24% up here too, from what I've heard. I think you need to look at Hiring Michigan First when you're giving tax breaks and giving money to help build up different buildings or whatever it is. That you need to make sure that certain percentage is going into the Michigan residents. And I don't support right to work either.
Next, we'll hear from Mr. Kirkdale.
Perception of Michigan from everybody that doesn't live here is that the weather is cold. I have two sons that don't want to live in Michigan because it's not warm. We can't do anything about that. The small business tax and the personal property tax is so interwoven right now, it's not going to be taken care of overnight. I think that we need to be more business friendly and help with regulations, but the tax base is going to be something really hard to tackle. I don't want you to stand up here and think that can be done overnight. Right to work state, absolutely. The perception for outside people is that the unions run this state.
Now we'll hear from Mr. Ed Smith.
With my business background, it's been a well-known fact for decades that 80% of the new businesses that start up in the state of Michigan fail within the first 5 years. Now we have the challenge of this regulatory environment that the failure of businesses has reached 90%. And the number one reason back then used to be lack of education, lack of knowledge. Now we have the regulatory reform that we have to take care of. We got to get rid of the Michigan business tax, get rid of the 22% surcharge. We need to have a business-friendly environment, get rid of the penalties, the punitive fines, allow these businesses to succeed in Michigan, and potentially we could have businesses locate in Michigan. That's the way we're going to get our economy back on ground. We've lost 1 million jobs. We need to slowly start replacing those. As to right to work state, I think that competitive firms that are equivalent in products, performance, and standards should have equal opportunity to bid on jobs. That's the free enterprise system. Thank you.
All right, we'll ask the state Senate candidates to respond to this question. Again, the question is, what do you feel if you were in Lansing, elected to service, what you would do to help get jobs back in our area? And in regards to that, would you support Michigan becoming a right-to-work state? With that, I ask Mr. Jeff Mays to come forward.
Thank you. We didn't get in this situation overnight, and it'll take us time. It wasn't one day that the automobile was thought of, and the next day we had plants everywhere. So we're going through a great deal of change as a state, and we need to look to our strengths. We need to look at who we are. And our strengths continue to be in agriculture, which grew 12% in the last 2.5 years. We need to look to our states in energy or advanced manufacturing investments, and some of the largest investments in the world currently in solar manufacturing are occurring in this region of the state. We need to look at our strength in tourism and properly fund the Pure Michigan campaign that brings commuters either to the coast or through our communities here in Sanilac County, and the Thumb that support local jobs. And we can do this by focusing on agriculture, for example, of how do we encourage more processing in Michigan. We have room for growth in beef and in poultry and various meats. How do we bring back more specialty crop manufacturing, which we can do more of, and we're the experts in, whether it's pickles or potatoes. How do we create incentives that take these rural buildings that once supported the auto industry and create jobs there, and we can do this through targeted tax incentives.
Next, we'll hear from Mr. Mike Green.
Well, one thing we know that will not bring jobs to Michigan is to continue raising taxes. There was proposals to raise taxes on everything. While they did pass the single business tax, Michigan business tax, and the surcharge, they also wanted to raise taxes on tanning salons, on dentists. There was a bill to raise taxes on your doctor office visits. I don't think anybody thought that the doctor was going to pay for that, but there has been opportunities for people to raise taxes and vote on it to no end in Lansing. But the fact is, we can't continue to raise taxes. When I was in office 16 years ago, I know it's a long time, but we were in the same type of economy we're in right now. And we started off right off the bat cutting taxes and cutting taxes and cutting the budget, living within our means. When I left office, Michigan, 5 years in a row, was the #1 job-producing state in the nation. 5 years in a row, I left office with $1 billion in our rainy day fund by cutting taxes.
Next, we'll hear from Mr. Paul Mezzo.
Somebody's been reading my website. Yeah, we got to get rid of Michigan's business tax. All that stuff's on my website. Let's talk about, let me not dance around the right to work issue. Let me be the one here who's not the namby-pamby. Let me tell you the story that Kurt Damrow has told me in the last 2 weeks, and that is our government turned away 5 new factories and 6,000 jobs in Huron Township, or Huron County, because the European company that wanted to come here requested non-union labor, and it couldn't happen. How dare the government tell you that you have to be in a union? All these guys out here grinding this road out here, all this money from the federal government has got to be spent on union labor. No non-union groups are in on that. Why did we let it get to this point? Don't let this happen this November.
Our next question that we have is for all the candidates again. In general, how do you as a candidate view state regulations? Are we more effective with voluntary regulations or compliance, or should we continue to mandate them on our business climate? With that, I would ask Mr. Paul Muxlow if he'd come forward.